Hey, Ken Dunek and Mark Eckel. It's the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark. Welcome. I'm doing a remote broadcast today from snowy Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and Mark is in balmy Myrtle Beach, where it's about 27 degrees. Is that the coldest you've ever seen it down
No. Last year, we actually got snow last year for a little bit. And that was the first time I saw snow in the 8 years I've been here.
How long have you lived there?
It got cold overnight. Now it's warming up again. It's going to be 39 by the end of the day today at the high. So, but it's still, we don't do cold down here. We don't know cold.
And believe me, I lived in the South for a while. I know how treacherous that can be. Hey, listen, I really enjoy doing these podcasts, and it's one of the highlights of my day. But today it's really the highlight of my day because when we end this, I'm prepping for a colonoscopy.
So. It is the highlight of your day.
I'll leave that visual picture aside. I just want to let everybody know what I was doing. But we have a really special guest today. Excited to have him on. Played back in the 90s, and I'm not going to tell you his name right now, but watch. That should be a hint to everybody who's coming on. But let me thank a couple people here. First of all, this podcast is being produced by Sweet Recording, and normally we do it in the studio, but those are being renovated. So Joe Gangemi can help you with your podcast. If you want to do a podcast, contact Joe at sweetrecording.com. Our good friend Chris Wilhelm of Citywide Mortgage can handle all of your home financial needs. Chris can be contacted at 609-234-4304. There's a little rumor going around that the dip in interest rates might affect the mortgages, which are good. So contact Chris. Tony DiGirolamo of DiGirolamo Financial. He's a one-stop shop for all your insurance and investing needs. Contact Tony at 609-541-7515. And finally, Adjust Your Sleep Mattress Boutique is in Marlton, New Jersey. Kelly can take care of you. I've been in this showroom. They have all types of mattresses to fit anybody. So if you want to get a new mattress for your spouse for Christmas, contact Kelly at 856-357-3640. And finally, the Jersey Man Magazine holiday party is coming up on December 22nd. It's in Cherry Hill. If you want details on how you can attend this party with all the celebrities and fun and giveaways that are going on December 22nd, email me, Ken at jerseymanmagazine.com. Okay, with that, I want to bring in our special guest. He's a BYU alum. He played for the Cardinals, Packers, and Eagles. And of course, he was the sports director for many years with WCIU. I welcome my good friend Vai Sikahema. And Vai, people should know, we were literally neighbors a few years ago. You lived right around the corner, and I was at your beautiful home.
Yeah, Ken, it's good to see and hear your voice. And it's just, we lived in Mount Laurel there for almost 30 years.
Right.
And 5 years ago, I stepped away. I just felt I had enough. I'd worked enough in television. I was going to step away and retire, and we were going to move out west to Utah, where 3 of our 4 kids were living. And we got out there, and as you probably are aware, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I got called to be a general authority, one of the ruling parties that governs the church, and we've been here in South Africa for the last year and a half on an assignment. So, but we saw you fairly regularly. I came often to the Jersey Man events, and had you in our home, and we were good friends. By the way, I'm I'm close to is Bart and Brad Oates, your former teammates from the Stars, the old Philadelphia Stars.
BYU,
and, you guys,
right?
Yeah, you guys transitioned into the NFL, at the same time when the USFL folded. But they're good friends, great guys. But I'm like Mark. I left Jersey, and you're the only one of among us that's there. Hope you're keeping the lights on, Ken.
Yeah, Jersey's my home, but primarily because all my daughters live here, and
sure,
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But let's talk a little bit about the current Eagles. Yesterday, obviously, it was a lopsided performance. I was talking to Mark before you jumped on that I very rarely turn off an Eagles game. But that was such an uncompetitive game. I just figured if anything major had happened, I can catch up with it on the replay, and wound up watching the end of the Buffalo New England game, which was actually very compelling. But Mark, it was pretty much as expected, right? The Eagles had a bounce back performance.
Yeah.
Really,
Perfect team to play. Perfect team for them to play to get out of that little slump, whatever you want to call it, that they were in. I told you last week, I said, if they lose to the Raiders, we're not doing the show anymore. We're done. Nobody would watch. We'd have like two people
Wait a
watching.
minute. We'd have to kick back some money to the sponsors. So
Well, first of all, most of the fans would have jumped off to Walt Whitman or to Betsy Ross or something by now if they lost to the Raiders. I mean, that's true. And then what topped it off, as I said to you before the show, and I was mentioning it to Joe. I mean, here you have the Raiders. They're 2-10. They've lost whatever million in a row. They're having that kind of year. I mean, every teams go through that kind of stuff. So they're having an awful year. But then they leave probably sunny 78-degree Las Vegas and get on a plane. They come to Philly and they get off the plane and they see snow and cold and wind. Those guys are saying, let's get back on the plane and go home. We don't want to deal with this, right?
Well, Vi, you got to tell Mark. I mean, the snow and the cold never really affected me because when you're on the field, the adrenaline's pumping and you really don't feel the cold at all. And when you get to the sideline, it is where you feel it a little bit. But I'm sure you played in a few cold weather games up there in BYU and in your NFL career.
Yeah, no, Ken. See, that's the thing. You were on the field. I was on the sidelines, so I felt every bit of that cold.
Okay.
Not only was I at BYU, but later in my career, after my stint with the Cardinals, the team that drafted me, I went to Green Bay for one season before I came to Philly, and I played in a game, Ken, that was 15 below wind chill factor. At Lambeau Field. I think we were playing the Lions. Barry Sanders was on the other side running all over us. It was so cold. I had this kid, one of the ball boys, I handed him a 20 and I said, I was on injured reserve, but the Packers had even the injured reserve players on the field.
Yeah.
I handed the kid this $20 bill and said, hey, run up there to the concession, bring back a hot dog and a Coke.
Should ask for a hot chocolate, probably.
Yeah, I should have had a hot chocolate. But so the kid runs up there and he comes back, and I bite into the hot dog and almost broke my teeth. I said, "Hey, I thought I told you to when you go up there get a cooked hot dog." He goes, "No, that thing came right out of the steamer. It was steaming when I came down here, and it was as cold as a frozen turkey on Thanksgiving. That's how cold Green Bay is. You probably have been there, and but it's. Yeah, there have been some cold games. I did not miss. By the way, Ken, I'm like you. I tuned in. You know, it's we're like 7 hours ahead of you guys, and I watched the first touchdown, and then the second drive that ended up in the field goal. When they kicked the field goal, I turned it off.
Yeah,
I wasn't interested. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a rout.
Are you so you're able to keep up with all?
No, we have YouTube TV. So for the 48 hours that they went through that little rigmarole, we didn't have it. But once they got back, on YouTube TV, we can watch it. But the problem is, it's we're 7 hours ahead. So a 1 o'clock game there is 7, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Night,
so
yeah. Well,
and then a night game, forget about it. In fact, we watched the Super Bowl.
Well, night games are better. You're just waking up, probably.
Right. We watched the Super Bowl at 6, I think kickoff was like 4 a.m.
Oh,
and
wow.
so yeah, we had to watch it because it was against the Chiefs, and we were in the Super Bowl, and we were thrilled. We watched every second of that, even with the blowout. It was nice. So
listen. I want to talk a lot about the Eagles, but just to comment on the Raiders briefly, they had 75 total yards yesterday. It's the first shutout the Eagles have had since 2018. How far has that franchise fallen? This is the team that beat my Eagles in the '80 Super Bowl. They were a powerhouse back then. They drafted the running back, Genty, who is a good player. I think he could be a good player under the right system. But it's a great example, Mark, of how teams shouldn't draft specialty players, skilled players before they draft linemen, because I don't care how good you are. If somebody's not blocking for you, you just can't be effective.
Well, their last 2 draft picks, number 1 picks, are both very good. Bowers, from the tight end from Georgia.
Great tight end.
Great tight end. But he's a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
You don't build with a tight, right? I mean,
let's not disparage tight ends. Come
no,
on.
not at all. But you weren't a first round pick, Henry. The Eagles
No, I
found a
wasn't.
great tight end undrafted.
Any
Right?
pick.
So you can find great tight ends. You're proof of it. You win.
Mm.
Well, I would have signed you just to win the title. I wouldn't have played you, but I would have you on the team because everywhere
Listen,
you
I was a good luck charm. I made it to the championship game every year in 4
I'm saying
years.
so. Get back to the Raiders though. So
should be something to be said for that.
yeah, I mean, you have to win with offensive linemen and defensive linemen, right? And a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback. They don't have that either. But they're bad. And Al Davis I liked Al Davis. He did crazy stuff, but he was a maverick. The AFL survived because of Al Davis. He got them going. He got them on equal par with the NFL.
Wow. Well, the NFL didn't like him. Roselle
No,
didn't like him. As a matter of fact,
because he beat him all the time.
Al Davis testified in favor of the USFL lawsuit back in the 80s. He told it like it was. He didn't care.
But his son is not. His son is not Al, and I think he's kind of
he's got a bad haircut.
Oh, no, he has a real bad haircut. But besides that, he
You think if you're for $1 billion, you get somebody to spruce you? I mean, listen, I don't want to poke fun of people. I'm being critical.
They're just a mess. I don't see a lot of hope coming in the future. I mean, they have, like you said, a couple of really outstanding Bowers. I think Gentry could be very good with.
Well, it's not going to be Pete Carroll. As a matter of fact, you and I were texting each other during the game. Joe Biden was at the game, Vi, and Pete Carroll was roaming the sideline. They had a similar appearance. And I was saying, I wonder if Joe Biden took the headset at one point.
I think he called a couple plays for me. I
think. Hey, look, the one guy who does have a great haircut in that organization is Tom Brady. Why isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he more? I mean, is he calling the shots or is he not calling the shots? What do you know, Mark?
I think he's going to get more and more involved. I think. They brought him in, and there was a lot of controversy there because he's doing TV. Is it a conflict of interest?
Yeah, conflict of interest.
So they told him no. I guess teams just have to know what he is. As bad as this year's going, I think you're going to see Brady get more and more involved and more hands-on in the coming year.
Wait a minute. He's only 2 years older than Phillip Rivers. Maybe he could make a comeback.
Come back and
guys like you and I, we've got a new lease on life. What? Did you watch any of that? I was literally holding my breath, afraid for Phillip Rivers yesterday, thinking he was going to. But he played very well. I mean, they had a good scheme. They ran the ball a lot. They did a lot of quick drops. But, I mean, Vi, can you imagine 44 years old going out there and playing against a defense like Seattle? It makes me scratch my head.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm holding my breath. I'm wondering, man. But but the thing is this, Ken, and we all, the three of us, we all know this. Had we been playing under the same rules in our era, we would still be playing.
Making the money they're making today, you'd still be playing.
Exactly. They're not tackling. No horse collar, no clotheslines, late hits. We used to say about Andre Waters, he played to the echo of the whistle. Right, Mark?
Yes. And you had to look, and you had your head on a swivel.
Those were the days where clotheslines were glorified. I mean, the NFL Today on CBS used to run the thing where the vicious hits, and they were kind of applauded back then. But Vi, I'm sure you keep track of Jalen Hurts and all the controversial swirl that's been going about him lately. He had he didn't have to do much yesterday. He was 12 for 15, 175 yards. Did throw 3 touchdowns, no picks. But it was funny. There was somebody on Twitter. It might have been Elliott Shore Parks, who we've had as a guest in the past, that said Hurts was benched, and Twitter just went up. They started screaming, "Yay!" And I'm like, "What's the matter with you guys? The game is over." So, any advice to a guy like Hurts that is a Super Bowl MVP and still they have to parse every play he does?
Well, I'm the last one to dispense quarterback advice, but I will, Ken and Mark. I'm wearing a shirt here, Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. I've been involved with an organization in Hawaii where we induct players into a Hall of Fame for Polynesians. and Tua Tagovailoa was one of those kids that came up through our program and then went to Alabama. So obviously, I'm drawing a connection here. 2019, I went out there to Alabama. Never been there before. Never played a game there. I don't remember ever being in the state until I went there. I went there to watch Tua, and when I was there, Jalen was still on the team. He had been benched the previous year when they won the national championship. In the national championship game, as you all remember, he threw the touchdown pass, in fact, to Devontae Smith that ended up winning the game for him against Georgia. But it was kind of interesting when I was there. I'd gone to a practice and then went to the game. It was just really a walkthrough the day before, and then their game on Saturday. But Nick Saban and his staff knew that I was there, and I was there with Jesse Sapolo. Remember him, Ken, and a handful of guys from the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. We were there, and we were being hosted, and they were rolling out the red carpet because they had a Polynesian player playing quarterback for them. So we went in the film room and we watched film a little bit. One of the things that just fascinated me, and I had never really watched Jalen play, but just a couple of reels of film, and we watched the previous year and then some film from that year. And what was, what's interesting to me, anyways, is that I really admired how Jalen has gone into the pros, and he's having a much better career, obviously, than Tua is. But what I've seen so far is that he seems to have reverted back to some of the old habits, like he's just holding on to the ball too long, right? I mean, you guys see that. I think he's looking at his first, second, and I'm not sure that he's getting to his third read. And then he tucks the ball. And now he's looking for someplace to run, and I think that's probably the reason why Saban benched him at Bama, and Tua took over. Tua just has a quicker release, throws the ball, and is more decisive. But I watched Jalen over the course of his career since he's been there, and I thought, I'm one of those people that thought, there's no way he's going to be able to do, because I was thinking he was the same quarterback. I really didn't watch him in his last year when he went to Oklahoma. But he has improved so much, and obviously he went to Super Bowl last year, and the MVP and all that. But I don't know why. I don't know if it was because Patullo's offense or why he's holding on to the ball longer than I think he did last year or the year before. I may be wrong. You guys, watch more of the games than I do, but I just think he looks like he's just kind of holding on to the ball and seems to be afraid to throw the ball down the middle of the field for whatever reason.
It's definitely been an issue. Hey, Mark, I wanted to mention that yesterday we took 30 snaps under center.
Yay!
Okay? And I loved it. And it's the most ever in the Sirianni era. Now, there's a couple things I like about it. I'm a big believer in setting up the passing game by running the football. Right. It's more of an effective formation to run the football under center. And I just think that Hurts, the thing I hate most of all, Vi, and maybe you can attest to this, you got 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 10, right? Now that's a time to go empty backfield. But the Eagles seem to do it a lot in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. And why would you take the running threat away? The defense, now that they know you're going to throw the ball unless it's a quarterback draw, Vi. So, these things about Patullo, I think, are what has made Eagles fans scratch their heads a little bit, guys. Either one of you could take that.
Go ahead, Bart.
Well, yeah, I'm a big under the center. There's time to go into shotgun, like when you say it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, whatever. But you can also use your play action more when you're under center.
Exactly.
Right? So there's this. You know what I hate too? I hate shotgun runs. You're in the shotgun and you still hand it off. Now the running back's got to gain 4 yards just to get back to the line.
Long, right?
You know,
listen, watch the Bears run the football. How those guys get it going downhill. I mean, it's an amazing difference.
The problem is, Mark, when they do that, as you say, every run play from shotgun is like a draw.
Yes.
When the quarterback is behind center, you've got 3 steps to take when you get the handoff, and most of those guys at that league, certainly Saquon Barkley, they're in full stride, as you know, Ken.
Yeah.
Right.
Their
You get-
third step, they're in full speed. And when you're getting the ball handed to you, when you're standing next to the quarterback, it's a draw play. You're standing flat-footed, and it when you get the ball in your hands, you're just getting started.
Hey, Vi, take me back to the 92-93 Eagles. You played under Rich Kotite. Norman Raymond still owned the team at that point. Got any special memories or favorite teammates or some stories you want to share with us?
Mark was in that locker room, and that was. And I came in after the '91 season when they were the best defense in the league, and most of that defense was still there. In fact, they were all there in '92. It was just, but I think the best memories I have about that team were just the personalities. I mean, bigger than life personalities. I remember one time, Rich Kotite was standing at the front of the meeting room, started a meeting, and he was talking about something about the defense. And the defensive players sat in the very back. And all of a sudden, a half can of Coke came flying over everybody's head and splattered right behind Rich Kotite's head. I don't know who threw it. It could have been Seth Joyner, but I remember Kotite never even acknowledged that the can hit the chalkboard behind him. He just kept talking. But so I'm sharing that because, Ken, you and I both seen some stupid, crazy stuff that happened in our professional careers.
Mm-hmm.
And on that team, I wasn't here with Buddy, but I guess, literally the inmates ran the asylum. Am I right, Mark? I mean, those guys,
Yes.
those defensive guys,
The defensive
they
guys ran the
decided they came to practice when they wanted to, and they left practice when they wanted. Some of those guys would leave practice after the 9-on-7 to just, take it in. They were done. They decided when practice started and when it ended. It was just the craziest thing I'd ever seen. But it was a lot of fun being here with that team.
Mark, did you do any firsthand reporting on that anarchy of the Eagle? I don't remember hearing any of these stories. That's something I think.
It was. I didn't get that. I didn't know about the coming and go because we weren't allowed at practice. Kotite closed practice. He was the first coach to close practice on us, so we didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he closed. That's probably why. Probably now we know why. He said that we got in the way, but
I could imagine
somebody
throwing a Coke can at Dick Vermeil, and he would have had everybody in lockdown until the person owned up to it. So
I want to ask a question that I get asked a lot. I know my answer. Do you miss it, Vi? Do you miss being in the media? Doing, because you did a lot of you moved pretty high up at TV. You left sports. You were the man at Channel 10 for a long time.
Look, well, let me ask you, Mark. Do you miss it?
No,
you're in South Carolina now. Do you miss North Carolina?
Not at all. I don't know. People ask me even like when we're watching an Eagles game or watching the playoffs or Super Bowl. Hey, don't you miss it? I'm like, not at all. I did it for a long time. I liked it. I got out on my own. I didn't get unfortunately, a lot of my friends have gotten forced out of the business. I left because I had enough. 32 years.
I feel exactly as you do. I wasn't forced out. I left the NFL when I got the job at Channel 10. I decided to, we call a press conference and announce that I was retiring. Took the job at Channel 10, stayed there for 27 years. And I left Channel 10 on my own volition. I just felt like I had enough, made enough money. I was going to be comfortable the rest of my life. And, we weren't making the kind of money that they're making now, of course. But I felt like I've done everything that I wanted to do. I look back on it fondly, but I do not miss it, Mark. I'm so happy to hear that you feel the same way.
Hey, Vi, you had an interesting transition, and there's been a few guys in the past that have gone on to become sports directors at local stations. I remember when I was growing up in Chicago, Johnny Morris did it for the local CBS station. Now, you may or may not believe this, but I know it's true. Len Dawson, when he was playing for Kansas City, anchored the nightly sports at a local team while he was playing football. That might be one of the craziest transition stories I've ever heard of. But
well, there's there've been and it was one of the reasons why I stayed in Philadelphia. As you are both aware, so many of us, and this is true of any market. If you played well, and if you had a good reputation, and you were well spoken, you can get a second career in whatever town you played in. I could have gone back to Phoenix because I grew up in Phoenix and I played for the Cardinals. I had a good career there. They drafted me, but if Philadelphia was the may still be the fourth television market in the country. It was a big market. CAU was a big station. They had the Randall Cunningham show, and they did the Rich Kotite show was there. It was just a bigger station, better station. It was an O&O, owned and operated by CBS.
yeah, it was a CBS station back then, right?
Exactly. And then I was there for the transition to NBC. But it was just a great opportunity. And I thought, honestly, we would be in Philly for 3 or 4 years, and then we would go back to Phoenix where we had our home.
Mm-hmm.
And every year every couple of years they kept throwing more money at me, and I stayed. And on top of that, we just love Philly. I mean, it's as a sports town. Mark, I'm sure you feel the same way. There's not a better sports town in the entire United States of America.
Certainly the most passionate fans, I think.
They're crazy.
Well,
That's what makes them great. Is that crazy? Where else is there a line item at the local police station for $10,000 worth of grease of Crisco in case there's a championship parade? Right? They got to grease the poles down. There's no other city in the country where the police department has a line item for Crisco in case there's a championship parade.
We've only got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about the playoff picture now. Certainly the Eagles are going to win the NFC East.
Yes.
Right now they're the 3rd seed, which means if it ended today, they'd be playing the 49ers at home, which I think is maybe the most favorable playoff matchup that they could hope for. Rams are right now number 1. That's a big deal because they would get a bye. Of course, the Bears are right on their heels at 10-4, number 2. But let's go real quickly. Mark, what are your thoughts on the Eagles? Can they make a playoff here? I believe they can because they do 2 things that equate to championship football. They can play good defense, stop the run, and they can run the football. So I still have hope for the Eagles.
Absolutely. I mean, let's see what happens next. They have to keep. I'm not going to put a lot of stock in beating the Raiders because we already mentioned that the Raiders were not anything very good. But if they can get on a little roll, win the next 3, going kind of hot. I always say to go into the playoffs, there's 2 things: hot and healthy. That's how you want to go in. Going on a winning streak and be as healthy. I mean, this time of year, most guys are a little banged up. Get Lane Johnson back, get some other guys back, be healthy, be hot, and take it from there. I mean, they're right. The Rams are the favorite, and they deserve to be. But yeah, the Eagles are right in the mix. Hey, before we let Vi leave, though, our guest next week is Barrett Brooks, former Eagle tackle, who's now in the media. Vi, you have a great story about Barrett Brooks, if I'm not mistaken, that you told me once.
Met him when he was 10 years old. He one of those kids that came and asked for autographs at the stadium. I took him in. He had holes in his shoes. I took him into the stadium and got him a pair of shoes. And
this is in St. Louis.
I'll let him tell the story next week. But he's a great guest.
Hey, listen, Vi, great to see you again. What are your long-term plans? Are you going to stay in South Africa for a while, or if you move back here?
We'll be here for maybe another year or 2, possibly 3. We'll eventually come back to the States, but we'll probably from here, my guess is they'll send me to the Pacific, which is the headquarters is in Auckland, New Zealand, which is a great place to go live. Real quickly about the playoffs. The one thing about the Eagles, they're the defending champs. And if you're the other team, would you want to face the Eagles? Probably not. So that's going to make them a tough out.
I couldn't agree with you more. Vi, great to see you. If you get back to Philly, please contact me. I'll take you to lunch and we'll go over some good times. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And we'll be here next week. And our guest, Vai Sikahema. I'm Ken Dunek. Thanks for watching the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.